What are our servants in government also called? Servants, trustees, agents, substitutes, magistrates, public civil officers, public officers. That is what they're also called. But no matter what they're called, they can't escape that they have great similarities to robots. Just like a robot, they have to follow commands. They have to avoid doing what is prohibited, and they must do what is commanded. Just like a robot, if it becomes corrupt, it is shut down. It is removed from the position, from its job, from its task. It is not allowed to continue in the corrupt mode because that is a danger to the creators. The thing is, they are ours. Yes, they are ours. They cannot be any of that without our authority. They can't work in our government that we own without obeying us, without obeying the commands that are written that they already agreed to. They already got paid to comply with. They exist for our benefit, not their benefit. They get a specific pay from us and cannot work to do deals that benefit them at all. They may not enrich themselves working for our benefit because that would be clearly for their benefit. It's so obvious. If we're giving them a specific pay for the job they wished to be in, willingly wished to be servants of the people, and knew that that's the pay for that job, how in the world are they enriching themselves, coming out very wealthy, when they were busy doing our work? If they are busy doing their own side jobs, they are not fit for doing our jobs. We need servants that are focused on the jobs we hired them to do. They cannot be paying attention to their own things and neglecting our things. And they should just go home so that you see if someone, it's a servant, if they go in there with a specific pay and they come out very wealthy, you know that some shenanigans took place. Some unlawful activities took place. They were inadequate. They're inadequate when they cannot focus on doing the job we hired them to do. They shouldn't be bothering us, wishing to work for us when they're going to be using their time for their own activities and their own benefit. We don't need that. We don't want that. Let's look at what some of those names mean. Vocabulary is important if you want to live free and independent, with all your rights protected and secure, so you can go about your goal of finding and enjoying your happiness. Since I will define servant, you need to know about the relationship of master and servant. Here, a servant is robot-like. You will see that it's undeniable. They have very many similarities to robots. And here, this is one of the people. And the people are masters of all servants. I use this image because, just like a robot, a government servant is there to obey, to comply, to do the people's will, and never their will. Just like a robot, it must remain within the programming we, the creators, programmed. If the robot or our government servant or servants become corrupted, it will go outside the law. It will go outside our programming and do what it wants, ignoring our directives. The corrupted robot and the corrupted servant will seek to do its own will, and it will seek to benefit itself. That would be a danger to all the people. Here we go. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger for you. Okay. The robot and the servant would do unauthorized activities. The robot would have to be unplugged or turned off so it does not pose a danger to the creators. In the same way, if the people see that a servant is corrupted and not functioning as it is required and commanded to do, it would have to be removed from the seat of office and its granted powers removed from that servant. Before it harms the creators, the people from whom the power and authority that the servant is using comes from. We unplug it from us. So the people do not have to wait until they are injured, harmed, or destroyed by a corrupted or inadequate servant. That would be ridiculous if we waited for election time to remove the danger to the people. Our founding fathers knew this, and they put it in the terms of the contract, trust indenture, constitutions, compact. Now I did a little spelling right there. Let me see, constitution. There's a little extra I. There you go. There you go. So our contract, trust indenture, constitutions, compact. Remember those names. You will need to know them. That is what our constitutions are. So, okay. So in this, we put it in the terms of the contract, right? That we could alter, modify, change, reform, or abolish any or all parts of government and constitutions that we agreed put our safety or happiness in danger. So we can fix it if something is not clear, if something is not adequate for us, it is not keeping us in the fullest safety. We can alter it, fix it, modify, change it. We have that power right now, and we do not have to wait. And it isn't our government servants that have that power. We do. And we could do it whenever we thought it necessary, and we could do it however we, the people, not government servants, thought best to do it. The people are masters of all government. And I'll show this to you. I have shown it to you in other videos, but I will do my best to show it to you again in this video. For now, we are going to look at the vocabulary. Here goes master. Excuse me. Master, a principal who employs another to perform service in his affairs and who controls or has right to control physical conduct of other in performance of the service. Do you see the principle? That's us. Now, there are several principles. We are the ultimate principle. We are the ultimate in control, and we tasked other servants to go ahead and manage the lower servants for us. But if any one of them is not doing their job adequately, we can step in at any moment and take care of it, because we never lost that power and we never gave it away. Now, you see how it says who controls? Remember that, controls. A master is one standing to another in such a relation that he not only controls the results of the work of that other, but also may direct the manner in which such work shall be done. We can direct them. We can instruct them. If they're doing something that is not really working, we can step in and instruct them and direct them so they can do it better, so they can do it within the law. Now, one having authority, one who rules. See, that's us. We're the masters. But you will notice, and I'll finish reading this definition and then I'll discuss it. Okay, so I can jump ahead sometimes. One having authority, one who rules, directs, instructs, or superintends. A head or chief, an instructor, an employer. See, we employed all government servants. We hired them all. We pay them all. Yes, we do. Now, we are the masters. We have authority, ultimate authority. We are the ones that created government. The government servants did not even exist. We created the government. We assembled it, put it together in writing. And then, after that, we went ahead and elected our servants who were going to fill in the seats of office. But they were not there. They were nowhere. They didn't exist until we allowed them to exist in those positions. So we are the masters. And don't let them trick you and make you believe that you handed them all your powers and now they are your rulers. You have heard them say, oh, you're going to elect your rulers. No, that is treasonous talk. They cannot call themselves rulers when we are the rulers. That is speaking against the masters. Okay, now you know what a master is, and you can look it up. This is Black's Law 5th edition. Again, Black's Law 5th edition. This is master and servant. So, the relation of master and servant exists where one person, for pay or other valuable consideration, enters into the service of another and devotes to him his personal labor for an agreed period. The relation exists where the employer has the right to select the employee, and we do. The power to remove and discharge him, and the right to direct both what work shall be done and the manner in which it shall be done. See, that's us. We are the masters. Now, we told them in writing what to do, and even told them in what manner they are to do it. In all the small minutiae, we hired certain servants to go ahead and legislate the minutiae, make sure it is done adequately, make sure that when they legislate, it is about the tasks we hired them to do, and carefully avoiding to infringe on any of our rights that are constitutionally guaranteed to be protected. We told them this in writing, and they have to do everything in pursuance of our constitutions. They are not free to do whatever it is they wish to do. That is a bold lie when they tell you this. Those are unfaithful servants who tell you this. Okay. Now, such term has generally been replaced by employer and employee, of course. They would rather not say master and servant. Excuse me. The definition for servant. Hold on. Servant, one employed to perform service in master's affairs, whose physical conduct in performance of the service is controlled or is subject to right to control by the master. See, this is it. Now, this is Black's Law 5. A person in the employ of another and subject to his control as to what work shall be done and the means by which it shall be accomplished. We are bosses. We boss them around. We tell them what to do. We tell them what not to do. We did it in writing, and when they stray, we instruct them, correct them. If they refuse correction or if they pose a high danger to us, we agree. We remove them. We do not have to have their permission. We do not have to wait for elections. We don't have to wait to be injured or harmed. So one who is employed to render personal service to another, otherwise than in the pursuit of an independent calling, and who in such service remains entirely under control and direction of employer. And they give you these cases that you can look at where they discuss these things. A person of whatever rank or position in employ and subject to direction or control of another in any department of labor or business. A servant for purposes of doctrine of vicarious liability is one who is employed to perform services for another and who is subject to such others' control or right to control as regards his physical conduct in the performance of such services. There you have it. That is servant. You need to know these words because then they can't bamboozle you. They cannot do trickery against you. Here is trustee. They are definitely a trustee. You will see those words in the contract. Excuse me. Trustee. Person holding property in trust. The person appointed or required by law to execute a trust, one in whom an estate, interest, or power is vested, under an express or implied agreement, to administer or exercise it for the benefit or to the use of another, called the Sestui que trust. Sestui que trust. Persons who hold title to res and administers it for others' benefit. Oh my goodness. So now they're going to have to make us look over the term Sestui que trust, and they're going to make us look at res. It's a thing. I wish you should do that. When you see a term that you don't understand, you're not familiar with, just go ahead and look that up too. In a strict sense, a trustee is one who holds the legal title to property for the benefit of another, while in a broad sense, the term is sometimes applied to anyone standing in a fiduciary or confidential relation to another, such as agent, attorney, bailee, etc. They are the trustees. Our constitutions are trust indentures. They have the word trustee in there. You'll see it. I will show it to you. If there's a trustee, you can bet there's a trust. And it is an indentured trust indenture because they work for us for specific times, the duration of time. Okay, now you know. Now here's the word agent. Agent, a person authorized by another to act for him, one entrusted with another's business. That's an agent. Look at that. It's our business. The government is our government, and we entrust these agents to do it for us. Now, our government servants also hire agents under them. They contract with them. They become our agents, and every single one of them must do all their work carefully avoiding trespassing, infringing, encroaching, diminishing, interfering with our constitutionally guaranteed rights. And they must do their work completely in pursuance of our constitutions. Yes, sirree. None of them are free to do whatever in the world they want, the way they want it, recklessly interfering with our constitutionally guaranteed rights. They can't do those things. Carefully now, people. One who represents and acts for another under the contract or relation of agency. A business representative, whose function is to bring about, modify, effect, accept performance of, or terminate contractual obligations between principal and third persons. One who undertakes to transact some business or to manage some affair for another, not for themselves, by the authority and on account of the later. They love to say that later and the former and all that. They should just repeat themselves and be clear. And to render an account of it. Yes, they have to render an account, because why would they have to render an account? Because they're not free to do reckless things on their own, things to benefit themselves. They are to do what the master commands. Okay, one who acts for or in place of another by authority from him, a substitute. You see that? A substitute. Because trustees are also our substitutes. A deputy appointed by principal with power to do the things which principal may do. See, now, we are the main masters. We are the head honchos, the top of the pack. We are at the top of the pecking order. That's us. We are kings and queens, and they like it or not, that's that. Because we don't have a king or queen over the people. We are each king and queen, with no slaves under us, just servants. So, whether they like it or not, they have to obey our commands. So the definition continues. One who deals not only with things, as does a servant, but with persons, using his own discretion as to means, and frequently establishing contractual relations between his principal and third persons. For example, you told him what needs to get done. You told him how to do it, that this needs to get done, carefully avoiding infringing on your rights. Now, it's up to them to get going and get it done, accomplish it. Do it lawfully, do it legally. And if they need to make agreements with others, those agreements better not be agreements that harm the people. They're not free to do that. They are free to contract and get things done. Some of them are free to contract. They do make contracts to get the minor things done. We allowed for that. We said get it done, and we meant get it done. But don't hurt the people while you're getting it done. The definition continues. One authorized to transact all business of principal, or all principal's business of some particular kind, or all business at some particular place. See, we have 3 branches of government. Each one is assigned specific tasks. We told them, separation of powers, don't do someone else's job. Don't get in. If you're in the judicial branch, do not do anything in the executive branch. Do not mess around in the legislative branch. We want them separate. Together, they could be too powerful and use that power against the people and harm us. We were dummies. Our founding fathers were not dummies. They said, keep it separate, people. You stay in your lane, you do your job. Don't come over here doing this other job. So they better obey that. Have you noticed if they have obeyed that? Have you paid attention? If they haven't obeyed that, they're in deep trouble. All right. So we told them, get these things done, and that's what they have to do. Stick within that business, folks. Okay, that's the end of that. This is Black's Law 5th. Now this is Substitute. This is Black's Law 5th edition. Substitute. one who or that which stands in the place of another, that which stands in lieu of something else. That's the definition. The other one, it's something else. Look at a person hired by one who has been drafted into the military service of the country to go to the front and serve in the army in his stead. That's that. But for our purposes, we're seeing you can see that in the three branches, of course, the army and the military, they go in our place. They go for us. They fight for the people. For the people. Yes, they do. But you remember, don't let them wiggle out of this. For example, judges, they are our substitutes. When a judge is doing his job and one of the people is before him and the judge recognizes that the people are being their constitutionally guaranteed rights are being infringed, they are not to sit idle. They are not to sit still and be silent. They are to immediately kick into action and defend and protect those rights and not be ineffective. They cannot be ineffective. They must protect those rights. Whatever it takes, they need to go and sound the alarm, tell others, focus all the servants to recognize there are those servants that are infringing, trespassing, encroaching into one of the people's rights, and they need to be stopped. They need to be removed from posing a danger to the people. They cannot, that judge cannot just sit there, oh, well, since they didn't know the law, then what can I say? Well, what can I say? What can I do? You better comply with the terms of the contract or be found committing treason. It's treasonous to not defend and protect the people's right. That is the first most important thing they are to do while carrying out the other jobs. If their job is to build a wall, for example, or sweep or mop or organize some books in a library, whatever it is, if their job is to debate some possible bill, whatever their job is, the very first and most important thing they are to do is defend and protect the people's rights. So when the people notify them, hey, these people over here, this government servant over there, this agency that you chartered is infringing on the people's rights, infringing on my rights, and you need to take care of it immediately. Well, they better take care of it immediately. If they do not, that means they are in agreement with the trespassers, with the encroachers, with the infringers. They are partaking, they are aiding and abetting. They are helping them to harm you, and that is treasonous. Okay? So, now you know what a substitute is. When they're a substitute, they're there for you, for me, for us, for we the people. They must do things that are good for the people as a whole and good for the individual. They cannot forget they are to protect the individual rights. Those are equally important, not less important. They are equally important, and perhaps even more if the people and a group decide to be corrupt and evil. They are to protect the one single one that is being attacked. Okay, what is a magistrate? A magistrate, Black's Law 5th edition, says the term in its generic sense refers to a person clothed with power as a public civil officer or a public civil officer invested with executive or judicial power. See, they're all public officers. They're all working in the public. They can only exist in the public. They can never set foot or peekaboo into the private. They cannot bother you in the private realm. The people are in the private realm, but many, if not all, public servants tend to ignore that fact. Maybe some don't know. Maybe they know and they just want to ignore it. The point is, they keep entering into the people's private affairs and infringing on their constitutionally guaranteed rights. And that needs to stop. And you and I need to get together and consult together, assemble together. We have that right, constitutionally guaranteed right. And we can talk about it and decide, this is what we're going to do about it. And it is lawful. It is our right. So, the definition continues: for magistrate, minor officials or officers with limited judicial authority. They're also magistrates, e.g. justices of the peace, judges of police courts, mayor's courts or magistrates' courts. In a general sense, a magistrate is a public officer possessing such power, legislative, executive, or judicial, as government appointing him may ordain. Although in a narrow sense he is regarded as an inferior judicial officer. The magistrates, all magistrates, and the three branches, they are our servants, our agents, our substitutes. They are all public officers. They are all to obey our commands that were written in the constitutions. They are not free to do their will. They must do the people's will. Now you know what magistrates are. So it refers to persons clothed with power. We are the ones, the original power. It comes from us, and we grant them those specific powers to accomplish the job, to get the job done. We granted them no more powers than what was written that was granted. Anything else, if they use anything and call it a power and they call it that it was their authority, they had authority to do it, it is not true if it is not written. They made it up. They invented it in their minds and they sold it to the people, and it's a lie. It has to be written. Yes, written. So how in the world are you going to know if they are doing something that's within the law? If they are complying with the terms of the contract? How will you know? If you don't know what is in the contract, then of course you will not know, and you will not catch them in the act of being outside the law. So please, I encourage you, come and read every single state constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Rights, and there are two other names, which right now, because I'm sick, the two names escape me, but I will get it for you. There are only four names. So you read those, read all of them, because they're yours, and you will discover that there are a list of so many rights written in them that are all yours. And a lot of them are worded very similarly. Some are worded, kind of different. And there are some in some constitutions and other things in other constitutions, but they are all yours. We have the right, constitutionally guaranteed right to equal protection. We are equal and we have equal protection under the laws. So if someone in Ohio has a particular constitutionally guaranteed right, so do we. We have it too. We have equal, constitutionally guaranteed right to equal protection under the laws. And that's the real law. That's real law. Those statutes and codes and regulations, that is not real law. They can call it that. They have called it that. But that is not real law. We'll look further. We have looked further into that in other videos, but we'll do it again so we can all catch it, so we can all get on the same page, because we need to help each other. We need to help each other so that we can live free and independent and have happiness and safety for ourselves, and especially for our loved ones. We love them, right? Sure, we want to be happy and safe, but once we have other people that we care about, that we love, we want it for them. We want it for them too. And yes, we're going to spread this word, and I encourage you to please whatever small information you learn, pass it on to others. Just literally pass it on, because imagine American people, the people, all knowing what the truth is that has been hidden from them. Do you understand that rogue, corrupt government servants, the ones that are being unfaithful, they will no longer be free to just do whatever they want to harm us. The people will know. And the fact that the people will know, that alone will stop them. The people knowing will stop them. We will stop them by knowing. You see how easy this is? Other people, you've seen people engaging in wars and picking up weapons and bombs and tanks and this and that and sticks and stones and all this. We don't have to do any of that. We are comfortably in our homes. And if you learn the true highest law, you can take care of correcting our government from the comfort of your home. Whatever you do will benefit the rest of the people. Whatever I do will benefit the rest of the people. We will correct these unfaithful government servants. We'll do it together. We'll do it lawfully. We'll do it peacefully. We'll do it on paper with the correct words, with the power of the law written in those pieces of paper and given to the correct heads, the main servants of ours. They are our servants. Okay. This is something else. This is U.S. magistrates and all this. You can read more details. Here is public official. What is a public official? This is Black's Law 5 edition. The holder of a public office, though not all persons in public employment are public officials, it says, because public officials' position requires the exercise of some portion of the sovereign power, whether great or small. They're saying they may not be all public officials. They are all, every last one of them, to the very smallest, to the one that does the least work, to the one that does the easiest work. They are all our servants. They are all of them required. Number one task, priority, head. This is the most important directive that these robot-like servants must obey and comply with, and that is to protect our individual rights. When our individual rights are protected, then the rest of the rights are protected as a whole. We leave no one behind. Not one of the people is left behind or left out. Every single one of the people matters. Every single one. That's right. Now let's see what this one says. This is Black's Law 1, page 963, public officer. Because they didn't have this in Black's Law 5. I couldn't find it. If it was there, then you find it, great. I could not find it. So it says here, public officer, an officer of a public corporation, that is, one holding office under the government of a municipality, state, or nation. It was in the this was in the bottom of the page. This was on the top of the page. That's why you see it in two parts. And this right here is the definition we need. An officer of a public corporation, that is, one holding office under the government of a municipality, state, or nation. That's what a public officer is. This is an English law, blah, 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 English law, blah, blah, blah. Word in America. Okay, now. So, all governments are corporations. They're government corporations or corporations. And the government corporations, the three branches, they're all set up. They're all corporations. They all because we need to understand how things work, and that is very familiar to our founding fathers to set them up that way. But when they're set up that way, hold on. Now, they're set up as a corporation, and they need to be transparent to the people, accountable to the people, amenable to the people. They are to be responsive to the people. They are to be willing and ready to be instructed by the people. They have to be compliant to the people. And remember, we can instruct them to stay within the law. So the good news is say someone out, like say there's one of the people, and that one of the people happens to be a corrupt individual, an evil person, an evil man or woman, they can instruct our government and tell them to do things, but they cannot tell them to do evil things against anyone, because that is not allowed. It doesn't benefit the people. See, every single thing that our government servants do must benefit the people. And so if another, say a weirdo comes and tells them, hey, do this to the people and blah, 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 they cannot do that. That's like, first of all, it's against the law. They can't do anything against someone else's constitutionally guaranteed rights. So the only thing you can instruct them on is to do good. You can instruct them to do good, to stay within the law, to remember the contract, remember what they swore to. No one can tell them to do evil because they cannot do it. That is against their directives, against the written commands. They must benefit us at all times, in every way, everything they do, carefully avoiding to encroach, infringe, trespass, or interfere with any of our constitutionally guaranteed rights. We have inherent individual rights given to us by God Almighty. That's right. This is a Christian nation. This is a Christian nation. That's right. So, here we go. Look at that, government servant. If it's a good government servant, a compliant government worker, servant, magistrate, you heard the trustee, substitute, agent, all of those names, public officer. If they are a good one, just like a good robot, then we let them continue working for us, to benefit us, every way to benefit us, and never to enrich themselves, to benefit themselves. They do have a specific pay, and they better not make any other money, because if they want to make other money, they need to get out of there, go on their own, separately from our government, and do their work there, make their money there. Why? Well, how convenient. They want to make money while working for us. Well, that's pickpocketing. That is completely treasonous. Outright. Being corrupt. They're supposed to work only for the people while working for the people. That's right. It's in the program. If they go against the program, they are corrupted. They are malfunctioning. They are no longer a good robot. They are no longer a good servant. They must be unplugged. They must be removed from the seat of office. Lawfully, correctly done, and by right. Our servants are commanded to do specific things, exact things, but if you do not know what the commands are, what the terms of the contract, trust, indenture, constitutions, compact are, then you will not recognize when they are doing unauthorized things that make them a danger to all the people. This and more was hidden from you. You were not taught your full powers and authority, and you were not shown how to keep them running as programmed, functioning as commanded, benefiting you, me, us, we, the people, per the terms of the contract, compact, trust, indenture, constitutions. Now that you have the vocabulary, let's look at those words in the contract, compact, trust, indenture, constitutions. Look at here. This is Massachusetts State Constitution, Part the First, text of Article 5. And it says, text of Article 5, and I quote, all political, I'm a little bit dizzy because I'm still sick, but yet I'm addicted trying to do these videos. Let me start again. Here, let me drink something. Pausing it. Alrighty then. So, and I quote, all power residing originally in the people and being derived from them, the several magistrates and officers of government vested with authority, whether legislative, executive, or judicial, are their substitutes and agents and are at all times accountable to them. And you can find this Constitution, your Bill of Rights, Declaration of Rights. This one is in Massachusetts. Excuse me. This is a Massachusetts Constitution. Find it there and love it. Okay. Here is New Hampshire State Constitution. This is a little bit longer, but it's okay. We can get through it. If I can read this while I can barely speak, you can at least pay attention, or if nothing else, you can go ahead and look it up on your computer and read it yourself. And know, because you will be empowered. You will see and recognize your powers, your authority. This is great news, people. Great news. Here we go. This is text of Article 8, accountability of magistrates and officers, public's right to know. And this is from New Hampshire Constitution. And I quote, all power residing originally in and being derived from the people, all the magistrates and officers of government are their substitutes and agents, and at all times accountable to them. Government, therefore, should be open, accessible, accountable, and responsive. To that end, the public's right of access to governmental proceedings and records shall not be unreasonably restricted. The public also has a right to an orderly, lawful, and accountable government. Therefore, any individual taxpayer eligible to vote in the state shall have standing to petition the Superior Court to declare whether the state or political subdivision in which the taxpayer resides has spent or has approved spending public funds in violation of a law, ordinance, or constitutional provision. In such a case, the taxpayer shall not have to demonstrate that his or her personal rights were impaired or prejudiced beyond his or her status as a taxpayer. Oh, you don't have to. However, this right shall not apply when the challenged governmental action is the subject of a judicial or administrative decision from which there is a right of appeal by statute or otherwise by the parties to that proceeding. So you will notice little by little, you'll notice that attorneys put their little fingers on the keyboard and start typing things and making it. You'll notice. But keep in mind, look at this. Remember this is super important. All power residing originally in and being derived from the people. That's us. So there, see, all the magistrates and officers of government are their substitutes and agents. They're yours. They're for you. They must do things for your benefit. You see? Because why else would they be your substitutes? your agents. Would your agent go against you? Would your substitute go against you? Your substitute is like it's you. You would go against you? No. And at all times accountable. At all times, not in election time. No. At all times accountable to them. To them, who? To the people. Government, therefore, should be open. That's right. Open. They better listen. And they cannot and must not hide their emails, which we are discovering that many are hiding their emails. How are they hiding it? Well, they have emails where you have to post certain things a little bit at a time, and you have to do all this work just to try to get some information to them. When we have jot forms that we like to send quickly to them, instructing them with the law, instructing them, reminding them that this is the law. Make sure this is happening according to the law, because we're noticing these things and they need to be corrected. Go ahead, please correct them. If you correct them, of course, you're a good and faithful servant. If you do not correct them, if you sit idle by and do nothing, then you are part of that problem. And now you are also committing treason. You see that? They have to be accountable, accessible, open, responsive. They have to. Remember this. Go ahead and read it. Empower yourself with knowledge that will help you and your loved ones. Here's another one. Vermont State Constitution, Article 6, text of Article 6, officers, servants of the people. Now, this is the title to give it, but this right here, that is the term of the contract. That's why I say, and I quote, that all power being originally inherent in and consequently derived from the people, therefore, all officers of government, whether legislative or executive, are their trustees and servants, and at all times, in a legal way, accountable to them. Do you notice how similar these things are worded? Some things are worded a little better than others. You can go to any one of these. These are your written rights. They do not come from the writing. They come from God. You have inherent rights. We had them before government was created. Before we created government, we already had them. Our founding fathers simply wrote them down for our government servants to keep them in their minds, to keep them fresh, to review them, to go back to them, look at them, to make sure they do not harm the people in any way. So, you can go to any one of these. You are not stuck just looking at your Bill of Rights or declarations of rights of your state. You are one of the people of the 50 American states, Republican in form. So see, this one mentions just the executive, legislative, and executive, but the other one, you noticed it said also included also the judicial, which they are, every one of them. So see, some are worded better than others, but you get the point. You get the point. You can use any one of them. You can find it here, Ballotpedia. Ballotpedia is a great place to go get these, right here. Okay, look. Virginia Constitution, Article 1. This is Virginia. Text of Section 2, people the source of power. And I quote, that all power is vested in and consequently derived from the people, that magistrates are their trustees and servants, and at all times amenable to them. Look at, again, the word trustees. Trustees is here because this is a trust indenture. It is a compact. It is a contract. It is a constitution. You understand? They fit those definitions. That's what it is. That's what this is. And guys, were you taught this in school? Were you? It was hidden from the people. Now, I am doing my part. I'm sharing with you the good news of the real law and letting you know about your true powers and authority so we can prevent and stop horrors and devastation of our lives by corrupt government servants bent on doing their will, which is an attack against our constitutions and an attack against the people they swore to protect and are getting paid to protect. Okay, there it is. This is my little video for you today, teaching you these words. You can go ahead and do it faster if you wish. Just look up those words and go into those dictionaries. You will see the truth of your powers. You will see who they are, the government servants, who they are in relation to who you are. You are the masters. You are the bosses. They are the servants. They are the trustees. They owe you. They must be diligent. They must be faithful. They must be ready to defend and protect your rights. They must comply with every single term of the written contract. God bless you. God protect you. God bless us. God protect us.